Hi guys, this is Janet. I have Dr. Chad Starkey with me this evening. First question to you. You've been having to adjust your teaching style due to this pandemic. How have you adjusted and how have you adapted?
We will say it's an ongoing process. It's trial by fire, quite frankly. In the spring, when we first shut down the university, we initially had 5 days notice, and then they actually extended it another week to help us prepare. And maybe I didn't take the magnitude of the change to heart, but the first few classes were really rough, and then now over, I guess, probably 100 lectures between then and now. It's I'm using. I was always an anti PowerPoint person for class, but I'm starting to use some of those. I've learned to use the iPad that I'm talking to you on now as a whiteboard and sketch things out. So it's kind of a very odd blend between the real me teaching style and in this artificial environment we found yourself in here.
What do you think the biggest difference is in terms of what the students are getting in terms of their classes, essentially?
Oh, I think it's the personal touch, the being there in the classroom. When somebody asks a question, I've always had, do you know who Gallagher is? Not he was a comedian that took props and that shouldn't go together to make a point. I would do things like that. So it's that lack of being there. They may as well be watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something half the time. I don't do anything recorded. Anytime I meet with them, it is like you and I now. Also, when you have a large group, people tend to sit back like this with your mic muted. And when you ask a question, that means you have to come up and unmute. So it slows things down a little bit too.
Do you think they're missing out on some of the hands-on experiences?
I think all students in healthcare and medical professions are paying a price. Yeah, nothing beats, we deal with people one-on-one, in person, we lay hands on, and we're only doing that 20% of the time now. So, the clinical experiences are there. Ohio does have high school football. Much to my amazement, our conference, Mid-American Conference, is voted to start football in November, when I think November is going to make what we've been through look like nothing. So we'll see.
All right, more to current events. In terms of race relations and everything going on in the news, what are your personal opinions on what's going on?
I have never been as stressed out, upset, and angry as I have been largely the last 4 years, but each day it has grown incrementally. I am embarrassed by what this country has become. I think some people are showing their true colors, and I don't want to die with this country in the state that it's in now.
Have you had
How's that for being morbid?
Yeah. How have you had to deal with this at the workplace? Have you had to have difficult conversations the last couple of months with everything going on?
I guess probably the most difficult situation that I've had to deal with is, I don't know if anybody out there has been to Athens, Ohio before, but Athens is this island within a sea of nothingness. I think you're familiar when Joe Burrow won the Heisman and he talked about the poverty and that sort of thing in southeastern Ohio. That's absolutely true. So when you're in Athens, you have one group of individuals, and once you go outside of Athens, it's a completely different mindset. We have high schools here that aren't enforcing wearing face masks in the athletic training facility. The face mask is seen as being what are they called, sheeples or something like that. So that's been actually the most difficult conversation, is helping the students address these issues. When it comes to race relations, not as a group, it hasn't come up. I don't know if this has been talked about, but it doesn't take a statistician to figure out how underrepresented athletic training is when it comes to people of color. So, you know, I think that we as educators maybe have failed or are failing to attract a more diverse student population.
On that note, though, how do you think we should be attracting more diversity?
That is something that I have wondered since 1997. If back in the olden days, as they're now called, I became chair of the first education council. And our task was to eliminate a route to certification known as the internship track. And this didn't require that a program be accredited. It was essentially a person, an athletic trainer, and a student. And they entered into a pact where they worked together. Eventually, some course requirements were offered. The Education Council, met with a gentleman named Bernard James. Are you familiar with him?
Mm-hmm.
At Howard University. And he asked me a question that I couldn't answer. And that is, how are we going, right now, most of the athletic trainers that entered the profession were coming in through the internship route at historically Black colleges and universities. He said, if you take that away from us, how are you going to meet that need? And we didn't. And you know, that is a lingering regret that I have. I wasn't smart enough to find an answer for that.
And so over the years, with obviously diversity and amongst athletic trainers, every year we talk about it, every meeting we talk about it. How do you think us certified right now can help for non-educators?
Oh, we got one of my, I don't know if you see the picture. We have 4 dogs. This is Einstein.
Oh,
the first dog I had in Athens was a boxer named Dumbass. And everybody said, oh, that's so mean. So we got Einstein, and I named him that just to see if a dog's name actually affects his behavior. And when Katie gets up, she's the St. Bernard, Great Dane.
yeah.
Have a Great Dane and a St. Bernard. Then maybe you'll slip into the picture here. I'm sorry, your question again?
Non-educators, the clinician, the secondary school setting athletic trainers, how can we help with increasing our diversity or even increasing retention amongst diverse athletic trainers?
I think right now, I think people that enter athletic training still want to be associated with sports rather than healthcare. I think that athletic training has a rap for being a highly underpaid profession. which it is, but I do think that the salaries are getting better. And people pick a career based on their passion and, of course, income. Is it becoming too expensive to become an athletic trainer? A wise piece of advice I heard once was that if 1 year of college, tuition for 1 year of college is greater than a 1 year salary, that's not a viable major at that institution. So cost of higher education is far too high. Trust me, the money does not go to the professors. And the salaries for athletic trainers do need to be elevated. People still, after all of these years, don't see the demand for it. And I'll point my fingers at myself or our institution. We're a Division I athletic program, member of the Mid-American Conference. Don't hold me to this figure, but I think we have 550 student athletes. We have 5 full-time athletic trainers. How does our institution value the health and well-being of our student athletes?
It's been so interesting the last couple of months, seeing how conferences and institutions deciding if they're going to go with football. They're going with football, but not any other sport. So that's been kind of eye-opening for me personally, how these institutions are making these decisions. All right, on to, you said earlier you're feeling stressed out and angry about current situations. What kind of self-care are you doing for your mental health?
Not enough. Wait, there's Katie. That's the Great Dane. Yeah, I don't know. Did you see her?
A little bit, yeah.
She'll pop in here. My self-care is poor. Mary gets up at 6:30 in the morning and works out. She comes home and works out again. She'll either take or teach a yoga class. About the only stress release I have is video gaming right now. And of course, if she wants to say something right now, I know that it doesn't relieve my stress, it adds to it. But it is a way to get a break. I have found that working from home breaks that delineation that, okay, I'm at work now, and then you leave and go home. When you work from home, you're always at work. And I'll find myself literally 2:30 in the morning working on something because I can't sleep. So there's that delineation isn't there. But I am going to start taking care of myself. I don't know how, but something needs to change simply because I don't fit into my pants anymore.
Why do you think it's such a common theme amongst athletic trainers and taking care of ourselves?
I think that we're culturally ingrained that we are there to help others, and at no time do we tend to address taking care of yourself. I did something over the last few years I've tried to do more of, but there should be a class in it's okay to look after yourself.
And and learn how to budget your time for yourself too.
Right. And I do tell, especially our graduate students, that, when you come here, there's the academic component, there's a clinical component, there's a research component, but you have to take a me component time as well too. And either they don't take that advice at all, or they take it to the other extreme.
There's no middle.
There's no, well, there is, but it's not a lot.
So
Okay,
this
real quick.
yeah.
There's the Saint Bernard, and
oh my
that's
goodness.
about 300 pounds of dog right there.
Oh my gosh. So we have two dogs and we have 3 puppy fosters right now.
Oh, nice.
So we got
If Mary heard that, she would scream for joy. She has worked at several animal shelters. The person I'm talking to, Janet, fosters 3 dogs.
I'll bring them one afterwards. Yeah.
All of our dogs are rescues.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yeah.
So
They
one more
truly
question
are.
to you. One more
Sure,
question.
I'm sorry.
When you hear the term white privilege, what comes to mind?
Something that most white people are in denial of. I think the initial reaction is when you hear white privilege, well, you didn't have to work for anything. Yeah, you did, but you didn't have to work as hard. You didn't have the social cultural stereotypes that that afflict, for lack of probably the best word, to afflict people of other races and ethnicities. I first heard it described as the invisible backpack that white people get to carry around, and it gives us an innate advantage in many situations. I don't think I recognized that until very later in life. When you see all of these shootings of Black men, and a white kid walks down the middle of the street with a weapon, and he's handed a bottle of water, that shows how truly screwed up we've become. Well, he was resisting arrest. Okay, resisting arrest doesn't make you executioner. Doesn't make you judge and jury. You know, there is that bias that goes on in people's heads that good, bad, and I think sucks.
So next couple minutes, all for you, your final statement.
My final statement. Mary just went, I'm going to get my inheritance. I'll first of all, everybody, a month from yesterday, vote. Get out, do it. I am willing. I'm going to stand in line out of principle. I think it's ridiculous I have to do it, but that's my stand. And we've got to be better than we've been. We are better as a country, we're better as a people, we're better as a humanity than what we've shown recently. And like I said, I'm embarrassed, I'm frustrated, and I'm angry that in the shit show last night just shows how truly divided we are. And we got to fix that, or we won't be able to talk again.
All right, Chad, thank you for talking to me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you have a good evening now.
Bye.